Hey second grade friends, it's Mrs. Herbay. So for this week's project, what you're going to do is you're going to pull out this packet from the baggie that Mrs. Herbay sent home for you guys. And what you're going to do is you're going to unclip the papers. This particular blue paper is going to be the background for our project, and we are going to be creating a sunflower, but we're not going to be creating the sunflower in the typical way that you would expect. Now what you're going to do for today is we're going to put aside the green papers. We don't need those right now. And we're also going to put aside the red and the brown papers. So all we need right now is you have three different colors. You should have an orange, sort of a golden yellow, and then a lighter yellow. And what we're going to do is the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to practice ripping our paper into strips. And you might say, what do you mean by that? So what you're going to do is you're just going to hold your paper with it going vertically, and you're going to take your two pincher fingers, these and this. So I'm going to hold where I kind of want to rip it, then I'm going to take my other pincher finger and I'm just sort of bringing the paper towards me. And as I do that, it just kind of, and I'm just gently doing it, it just kind of pulls away and I get something like this. If you wanted to try a thinner one, you would try pinching a little bit closer to the edge and you get something more like this. So you can kind of experiment around. Here's another one. And just kind of pull the paper and kind of see what you get. So I'm just taking my time, and again, I'm just pinching, and then I have like a little rip. And then after I get that rip, I'm just kind of holding the paper firmly with my left hand, and then I'm just pulling it down slowly with my right hand. So you're going to do that. I can go a little faster than you, but you're going to do this until, oop, there's a little one. Now here it's a little bit wider and a little bit thinner there, so I'm going to give it one more rip. So now I have a pile of the yellow ones, and then what I want you to do is go ahead and do that with this particular color and with this particular color. And at this point you might say, Mrs. Herbay, what on earth are we doing? But trust me, go ahead and rip these, and then I'll show you the next step of the project. All right, now I have my big pile of ripped strips, and then what you're going to do is we're going to look at the top of our piece of paper, and we're going to imagine that we're going to draw almost like a smile. And the smile is not going to be, we don't want to make it too huge, but we don't also want to make it too small. So it's sort of going to be half of the inside of a sunflower. So I'm going to go ahead and make that curved line. And I'm going to double check on my video that you can see. I'm going to hold it up a little bit closer so you guys can see that curved line. So that's about how far or how big you want it. But if you want to make it a little bit bigger, that's fine. If you want to make it a little bit smaller, that's fine. But you want to make it at least big enough, because this part here, this is going to be the inside part of the sunflower. So we want to at least leave it big enough that you'll be able to have some fun creating in there. But today what we're going to focus on is the petals, all right? So go ahead and draw that line, and then I will show you how we're going to proceed with the next step. All right, guys, so for the last part of the project that we're going to work on this week is we are going to use these strips, and we are going to create sunflower petals that go around the outside of this circle. Now, to do that, I prefer using the Elmer's liquid school glue because it just makes it, maybe it sticks it a little bit easier. But if you don't have that and you just have a glue stick, that can work as well. So what you're going to do is I'm not going to put glue all the way around, but I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here. And then I'm just going to start kind of in this upper corner here. And I'm going to start by sticking a color. And you can kind of alternate, and you can alternate both in size and in width and in length. So there's one, and then if it overlaps a little bit, I'm going to put a little bit of glue there too, and then I'm going to put another one, and then maybe I'm going to try, and if the ends are a little bit too square for your tastes, it's fine. You can just kind of rip a little bit more off if you want to, or you can totally leave them in that way. And all you're going to do is you're just going to keep working your way around the circle, and you can overlap the colors as you go. And we're just making sure we're kind of going around the perimeter of the circle. It's okay if these are a little curly, they'll relax eventually. And we'll do one more yellow one, and then so just keep going and work yourself all the way around to the end of your paper, okay? All right, now that you have this all glued down, you have your basic first layer. You'll notice some of your petals are really, really long, and some are a little bit shorter. If you may also have some leftover petals, and this is where I'm going to introduce you guys to the word overlap. And I'm sure we talked about it last year. But what you can do is, depending on how many strips you have left, let's say you have an especially long strip, what you can do is you can just kind of rip off some of the longer strips. Leave obviously some long, but if you have some that are too long, you can kind of give some of your strips a haircut. And what I like to do is, if you kind of rip it on a diagonal, then it kind of makes the end of the paper a little bit pointed like the petal. I'm going to give this guy a trim here, and maybe this guy one too. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I have my collection, you know what, this guy might, I have my collection of leftover sunflower petals. So then what I'm going to do is now I'm going to overlap. And what that means is I'm going to put some additional petals either behind. So what would happen is I would put a little bit of glue on the bottom here, and then tuck it up underneath, or I would put some on top. So you can kind of play around with some on top and some underneath. So in this particular case, I'm going to put some glue on the end of this guy, and I'm just going to stick him right on top of there. And then I might take this one and put a little glue on top, but then I'm going to kind of tuck this one a little bit underneath. So what it does is it gives your work a little bit more dimension. So here I'm putting, this was a little piece that I ended up ripping off, and I'm going to stick there. And so just, again, just take your time. And if some of the pieces are longer, again, you can rip them. And just take your time and kind of have some fun with overlapping to get this kind of nice and thick. All right, my friends, once you have finished your sunflower and you're happy with how the petals look, we are going to stop at this point for this week. So what you'll do is you can take the extra colors and the paper clip, and what you can do is you can just attach them with the paper clip to the bottom of your piece of artwork, and then you can put it aside to let it dry, and then we'll pick up where we left off next week. One thing to consider is sometimes bright sunlight fades construction paper, so you just might want to keep this out of direct sunlight. All right, we'll do step 2 next week.